Even though we don't have a confirmed election date, the campaigning continues with politicians from both federal parties travelling to the top end today. Deputy Opposition Leader Julie Bishop braved the shopping crowd, taking aim at Kevin Rudd.
Shoppers got a little more than they bargained for today. Federal Deputy Opposition Leader Julie Bishop braved Darwin's Casuarina Square to meet and greet with member for Solomon Natasha Griggs. It didn't take long for Ms Bishop to come out swinging.
Kevin Rudd is not honouring the 14th of September as an election date, but we must assume that there will be an election held at some stage, and we do want him to nominate an election date so that there can be some certainty around this campaign.
The Deputy Opposition Leader wasted no time in campaigning to Territorians. Ms Bishop says there is a proper process in place for Territorians to have their voices heard.
We're asking for submissions. We're going to set up a strategic partnership with the Prime Minister, the Premiers of Queensland and Western Australia and the Chief Minister of the Northern Territory so that we can develop specific plans.
Meanwhile, the top end also saw the likes of federal Labor today, spruiking the government's live donor scheme, which will see donors get paid leave.
Now, it's not cash for kidneys, let me tell you, because we don't want to incentivise those sorts of practices. They're illegal. But this is a way to really support the generosity and charity and kindness of those people who generously give. We've seen a 100% increase in donation rates in the Northern Territory. So the Northern Territory is pulling its weight, I can tell you.
The scheme begins on Monday. Hannah Dawkins, 9 News.
Well, seeing the Deputy Opposition Leader is here, we thought it was an opportune time to ask a little more on the Coalition's Developing Northern Australia plan, released just a couple of weeks ago. Julie Bishop, thanks very much for joining us live here in the studio tonight. There are several references in this paper to incentives encouraging Southerners to relocate to urban centres, including Darwin. You're basically looking to establish, shall we say, a special economic zone?
Well, it's good to be here this evening so that I can talk about our very exciting initiative, and that is Developing Northern Australia. Should the Coalition be elected, we want to put in place policies and programs working with the Territorian Government so that we can develop the full potential of Northern Australia and provide more economic opportunities for people who live here. We are looking at the sort of incentives that would be needed for relocation, also business tax incentives, personal tax incentives, and hopefully we'll be able to come up with a scheme that does attract people here, but working in conjunction with the Territory. We want to make sure that if we do relocate people to Darwin, to Northern Territory, the infrastructure will be in place to support it.
You're keen to advance tropical health and medical research as well. Would that also include perhaps a commitment to maybe Palmerston Hospital?
Well, that's a very interesting point you raise. What we hope to do is use a base in Darwin for the development of health and medical research in tropical medicine so that we can support countries in our region. And I think Darwin would be an ideal place for that. So let's hope that we get some submissions and ideas and feedback from people in the Territory. I did meet with Northern Territory Chief Minister Adam Giles today, and we had a good talk about our ideas for developing the North, and he certainly had a lot to say about it, so I think we'll have a good partnership with the Territory.
When you're talking population growth, the report says substantially as far as Darwin's population is concerned. What kind of numbers are we talking about? And further to that, will that also put us under extra pressure as far as our cost of living goes?
Well, that's the kind of thing I talked about with Adam Giles today. I know that the cost of living in Darwin is pretty high, but we want to make sure that we can attract people to Darwin so that the Territory realises its full potential. What we'll need to do is work in partnership with the Territory to make sure that any population growth is managed, that there's the infrastructure to support it, and land release, for example. I know that the Territory Government has talked about a significant land release. Well, that would all be the sort of things that we'd talk about and put in place.
I believe you're on a plane very shortly, so I better let you go. Thanks very much, Julie Bishop, Deputy Opposition Leader.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you.